I'm at Tuscumbia, Alabama. That's Tuscumbia Landing, and there's a park here. And I'm going to try to find the Sacred Tears marker. Not sure where that is located. They have like a little train ride, and so this is Tuscumbia Landing, and it says right here on this marker, American Indian History, Oka Kapasa, meaning cold water, was a Chickasaw name given to Spring Creek and to a trading post established near the Tennessee River about 1780. About 1817, Michael Dixon and others were greeted at what by then was called Big Spring by Chief Tuscumbia, a Chickasaw rainmaker. The settlers named the new town in his honor in 1822. Colbert County, formed in 1867 from the northern half of the Franklin County, was named for Chickasaw chieftains George Colbert, operator of an inn and ferry on the Natchez Trace at the Tennessee River, and his brother Levi Colbert, who ran an inn on the trace at Buzzard Roost Spring. And then it continues over on the other side here. The American Indian history continued from other side. Prehistoric hunters and gatherers lived in the area along the Tennessee River and its tributaries, including Spring Creek, more than 10,000 years ago. When early white settlers arrived, the area was occupied by Chickasaws to the west, Cherokees to the east. Other tribes, including the Creeks, occasionally hunted or lived briefly in the area. After the Indian Removal Act of 1830, thousands of Native Americans passed through Tuscumbia on the Trail of Tears. The Tuscumbia, Cortland, and Decatur Railroad transported Indians to Tuscumbia Landing, where they boarded steamboats for removal to new homes in the Indian Territory, now Oklahoma. So here we have a little train thing going down because we got this little train, this little tourist train that comes through here. So here's Tuscumbia Landing. And there's another marker that's called Sacred Tears, and I think it's over here. Over here. I'm going to try to walk over here real quick while I'm have some time. I've got to hurry. We can go see real quick what this marker is. And so, finished up the mounds over there, and I was thinking about the biblical account. When you read the Bible, you have them going to high places and to worship, and those mounds could be like similar to what was in the Mayans, the Incas south. Could be in a place, they call them burial mounds, also ceremonial mounds, but they could have been like places of high places, like what's found in the Old Testament, where they worshipped Ashtaroth and the Queen of Heaven that's mentioned in Jeremiah, and which would be left over from the Tower of Babel that's found in the book of Genesis. And that's just interesting history to discover that. Of course, a lot of tribes do not know the history of the mounds themselves. And so here we come to some other markers. I'm going to try to get this all in one video. This says Princess Imiwaki Memorial Water Feature, dedicated to the memory of Imiwaki, the wife of Chief Tuscumbia. Same thing on this side. An appreciation to Harvey and Joyce Ann Robbins. Some rock features. There's different bridges or benches here commemorating some. So here is a sign about Tuscumbia Big Spring. Big Spring, average daily flow 35 million gallons, provided water for town founded on its banks. Michael Dixon of Tennessee was the first settler. About 1817, town laid out in 1819 and incorporated as Okakopasa, cold water, 1820. Now they spelled it different here on this marker. Name changed to Tuscumbia, 1822, for a Chickasaw Indian. Confederate and Union soldiers camped here intermittently during wartime. 1861, 1865, site of Tennessee Valley Fair in the 1800s, later Colbert County Fair until 1930s. Spring Park established in 1919. President Carter opened his re-election campaign here. He opened his re-election campaign here September 1st, 1980. Interesting about that. So I'm going to try to get this before these other markers here. And so I think this is the Sacred Tears marker here. Coldwater Falls, world's largest man-made natural stone waterfall to be known in existence. 80 feet wide, 48 feet tall. So there's other information about it if you can read it. So here is the Trail of Tears marker. And Sacred Tears. Here is the monument for the Trail of Tears marker. Sacred Tears by Branco Medicinca, September 1923, 2003. Tuscumbia and much of the Shoals area played an integral part in the Trail of Tears with the Tennessee River route and the overland routes. In 1825, the U.S. government formally adopted a removal policy, which was carried out extensively in the 1830s by President Andrew Jackson and Martin Van Buren. The result was particularly overwhelming for the Indians of the Southeast, primarily the Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Creek, and Seminole. While some resisted removal by escaping, each tribe suffered numerous hardships, battles, and deaths. This period of time is referred to in the Cherokee language as Nudahaidu-na-tal-hai-lu-ai, or Trail of Where They Cry, now called the Trail of Tears. And remember, there was other tribes that had significant trails in their removal and relocation. The Cheyenne had the Chief Dolnife's Exodus, the Navajo, the Long Walk, the Potawatomi, the Walk of Death, the Trail of Death. And so this was the start of one of the darkest chapters in relations with the United States government and the Native Americans. In all, some 90,000 Indians were relocated to the west, while thousands died along the trail. And remember, there was a great move of God's Spirit. They were having gospel services along the trail. There were several being converted and baptized along the trail, but it was a very dark period also. Creek Indians began to pass through Tuscumbia on their way west as early as 1827. Generally, the Indians were treated well in Tuscumbia. The newspaper reported that the citizens of Tuscumbia felt sympathy and general admiration for the Cherokees. A Creek chief, Chili McIntosh, described their stay here as the citizens of Tuscumbia have treated us like brothers, and our helpless women were furnished by the good women of the town with clothing. As long as our nation remains upon the earth, we will recollect the Tuscumbia, November 30th, 1827. Tuscumbia citizens' positive acceptance and care of the Indians as they were moving through the area saved many lives and is a proud part of the city's heritage. Here's the text of dedication speech in September 19, 2003. I don't know if I can get that, but here is the monument, and I want to get this marker here. Trail of Tears Corridor Association 2003. And so here is Tuscumbia Landing. I am west of Decatur. And so from here I'll go over to Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, and we'll get the information there. But I want to show the rock falls here of what this part looks like. This is a man-made falls. It has no water on it right now. And so this is Tuscumbia Landing. So tomorrow we will be back at the mounds, and there will be an archaeologist talk. I'll be meeting with other archaeologists and historians, and also giving a brief speech maybe there at the mound. So this is it, part of the Tuscumbia Landing area. Very famous spot where the monument is of the Sacred Tears. And what it looked like. A lot of history here. Even President Carter came here, and did the his re-election speech here, I guess. And so Tuscumbia Big Spring. I think I've already got this marker. A lot of history here. There's some other markers up the road here. You can see the town. Some of these old structures up this road. This is, I think, Main Street. And so you can see the town, Old Tuscumbia, what Old Tuscumbia looked like. And I don't know if those are, those would have been from the 1820s or 1830s buildings. But here it is, Tuscumbia. And as I mentioned, I don't know if I've mentioned this in one of the videos, that this Trail of Tears, as dark as it was in these tribes' history, yet God showed some mercy there because it preserved their culture by them being relocated to west and starting in Telequote. Now, it wasn't easy. I'm not trying to make it sound like it was an easy time. There was still great hardship, but also there was still a lot of feuding. There was a lot of anger among the people, and there was a division that occurred among the Cherokee, those that was for the removal, those that was against the removal. And so there's a lot of history, but one of the things that we don't forget is that God was still at work in his sovereign grace, was still working among the tribes. There were people being baptized, and I want to see some of those sites. I've read in one of the videos about in Doublehead how Evan Jones baptized Doublehead's grandchildren in 1805. And so there was tremendous conversions that was taking place along the Trail of Tears. There were native preachers that were preaching. Peter Folsom, Jesse Bushyhead, and even Evan Jones walked the Trail of Tears with the tribes. And so this is Tuscumbia Landing Spring Park, Big Spring Park, and part of a very important stopping place along the Trail of Tears. And so this is where we have made it, and we just finished visiting the Florence Mounds with archaeologist and historian Hayes Ellis. And so this has been very good. That mound is associated with the mound that was there in Oakville. And Megan and Todd was the Lord has just been allowing me to meet the people that have been helping me get on this walk, get the about the history of this Trail of Tears, and just meeting all of these historians. It's been a great blessing. The Lord has just been putting this trip together.